My parents ruined my life to protect my brother. 15 years later, they want forgiveness. Let me start by saying, I'm not looking for sympathy. I've spent over a decade building a life that no longer hinges on people who let me down. But what I've never done is talk about what happened. At least not like this. And for some reason, tonight feels like the right time. This is the story of how my parents destroyed my future to cover for my brother's crime. And how, 15 years later, they came crawling back. It's messy, it's painful, and I still don't know how I feel. I'm 33 now, married, stable career, good life, but back when I was 18, I had dreams. Real, vivid ones. I wanted to study mechanical, engineering. I had a full ride to a well-known university, had my dorm picked out, and was about to start the next chapter of my life. I'm the younger of two sons. My older brother, Matt, was always the one who needed help. He got into fights in school, barely graduated, couldn't keep a job, and by the time he was 20, he was already in deep with drugs and debt. My parents, especially my mom, always said he was just misunderstood. Meanwhile, I stayed out of trouble. Straight A's, part-time job at a car garage, volunteered at a local shelter. I wasn't perfect, but I was consistent. I was proud of the life I was building. Looking back, I think my biggest mistake was believing that being the good kid meant I'd be safe from the fallout. It was 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave for college. I came home from work, and my mom was crying in the kitchen. My dad stood there, arms crossed, looking like he wanted to punch something. On the table was a stack of opened envelopes, my name on them, my bank account statements. Only the balance was nearly wiped out. They told me I'd been caught, that the bank flagged suspicious withdrawals over the past month, thousands of dollars drained. I was confused. I never touched that money unless it was an emergency. It was savings from birthdays, work, small scholarships, everything I'd set aside for college expenses. And then Matt walked in, looking sweaty, twitchy, wouldn't meet my eyes. I knew instantly. I said, "It was him, wasn't it?" He took it. My dad's face turned red. "Don't throw accusations. The bank has records. It was your debit card, your PIN. You can't blame everything on your brother." I turned to Matt and shouted, "Tell them the truth." He didn't say a word, just looked at me with this hollow indifference, like I was nothing, like it wasn't a big deal, and that's when my dad said it. "You're not going to college, not like this. We can't trust you." I laughed. "You think I stole my own college fund?" They said they'd reported the theft to the bank as fraud, and that an investigation was underway. But privately, they told me they knew I'd probably gotten in over my head with some girl, or gambling, or something else I was hiding. I pleaded, I cried, I even offered to take a lie detector test. They refused. 2 days later, they told me they'd canceled my dorm assignment and returned my scholarship. They said I wasn't ready. That night, I packed a bag and left. I stayed with my best friend, Darren, for a while. His parents let me crash on their couch. I picked up more shifts at the garage. I tried to enroll in community college, but with no savings and my financial aid in limbo, I couldn't afford it. A few months later, I got a letter from the bank saying they were dropping the investigation, citing family confidentiality. I never got a refund, never got an apology. I later found out from Darren, whose cousin worked at the same bank branch, that Matt had been the one withdrawing the money, in person, on camera, multiple times. But my parents had told the bank it was a family misunderstanding and requested not to press charges. They'd sacrificed me to protect him. The next few years were brutal. I bounced between jobs, lived out of my car for 3 months. At one point, I was working at a car wash during the day and unloading delivery trucks at night, but I kept moving forward. Eventually, I caught a break. A customer at the garage liked how I handled his classic Mustang and offered me a junior tech position at his automotive design firm. He became a mentor, helped me take night classes. 6 years later, I was leading my own team, and during all that time, every birthday, every Christmas, every promotion, nothing from my parents, not a call, not a card. As far as I was concerned, they were dead to me. From what I heard through the grapevine, Matt didn't do so well. He got into harder drugs, had a kid with a woman who left him, got arrested multiple times, DUI, domestic disturbance, petty theft. My parents bailed him out every time. They remortgaged the house for his legal bills. They sold my grandmother's jewelry to pay for his rehab, twice. And through all that, they kept telling people he was getting better. That he was turning a corner. But last year, Matt OD'd in a motel room. He was 36. After the funeral, which I didn't attend, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my mom. It was handwritten, 8 pages long. She said Matt had confessed before he died, that he'd admitted to stealing the money, to framing me, to everything. She said they were blinded by love and wanted to believe the best. She begged for forgiveness. Included with the letter was a check, $40,000. Apparently, it was what they'd managed to recover from selling a rental property. "It's what you would have had for school," she wrote. "It's yours." I didn't cash it. A month later, I got a knock at my door. It was my dad. He looked smaller, tired, broken. He said they wanted to see me, that they were sorry, that they'd made the worst mistake a parent can make. I let him in. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, "We didn't know how to face you. We thought we were doing what was right." I said, "No. You did what was easy. You chose the son who lied because he was easier to love." He cried. My dad, a man I'd seen cry maybe twice in my life. I didn't hug him. It's been 6 months. I've seen them twice, once at their house, once at mine. They've met my wife, who was cautious but polite. They cried when they saw our wedding photos. My mom asked if she could come to our daughter's 2nd birthday. I said, maybe. They're trying. I won't pretend they're not. But trust isn't a switch. It's a wall, brick by brick, and they tore it down 15 years ago. I'm still not sure if I'm rebuilding it, or just staring at the rubble. Some days, I want to forgive them. Other days, I remember that I lost 4 years of my life, that I could have been someone else, somewhere else, if they had just believed me. I still have that check in my drawer, uncashed, unspent. Maybe one day I'll frame it. Not for the money, but as a reminder that even the people who are supposed to protect you the most can fail you, and that sometimes moving on means choosing yourself, even if it means leaving your family behind. Update. It's been a little over a year since I posted my story. I wasn't expecting it to blow up the way it did. Thousands of people read it. Some shared their own stories. Others told me to forgive and move on. Some said cut them off for good. I read every comment even if I didn't reply. So, here's what's happened since. This was a big deal for me. That $40,000 check sat in my drawer for over a year. Every time I opened it, it felt like I was staring at a trap, a bribe, an apology wrapped in numbers. But here's the thing. My daughter is growing up, fast. Preschool, toys, clothes, doctor's appointments. It adds up. My wife and I have been okay financially, but there's always something. One night after putting our daughter to bed, I sat with my wife at the kitchen table. I told her, I think I want to cash it, not because I forgive them, but because it's mine. It always was. She nodded. Use it for something good, something that helps you take it back. So I did. We used it to start a college fund for our daughter, and we paid off the last chunk of my wife's student loans. I also made a donation to a local shelter that helps teens who've been kicked out or abandoned. I still have mixed feelings, but I don't regret it. Since the day they showed up at my door, my parents have been trying to show up consistently. Not in a smothering way, thank God, but in small, respectful gestures. They visited a few times, brought food, gifts for our daughter, nothing flashy. My mom cried when she held her for the first time. My dad mostly watches from the background, quiet, like he knows he doesn't deserve to speak first anymore. For our daughter's 3rd birthday, I let them come. We kept it small. Just a few friends, family, cake in the backyard. My mom broke down again when she saw the decorations. She told my wife, "I missed everything in my boys' lives. I don't want to miss hers." My wife, who has every reason to hate them, just said, "Then don't mess it up." I started therapy for the first time in my life 6 months ago, not because of my parents exactly, but because I realized that so much of who I became was built on proving them wrong. I hustled, fought, and sacrificed not just to succeed, but to say, "I didn't need you." But that kind of motivation can eat you alive if you never put it down. My therapist asked me once, "What would success have looked like if you'd felt safe growing up?" That question hit me harder than anything. I'm still working through it, but it's helping me understand that forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about taking my hands off the rope. Second update. This one hit unexpectedly. Matt's son, my nephew, is 12 now. After Matt's death, the boy's mother got full custody. She's not stable. He's been bounced around, had some behavioral issues, and ended up living with our parents about 4 months ago. The first time I saw him, it was surreal. He looked so much like Matt when we were kids. Same eyes, same nervous energy. But he's not Matt. He's a kid who lost a father, got dragged through chaos, and has no clue what stability even looks like. My wife and I talked, and we decided to include him in some things. We took him bowling, let him hang out with our daughter. It's awkward, but he's a good kid. Part of me sees it as a chance to break the cycle. Another part of me is terrified I'll get too attached and history will repeat itself. My parents are trying, and I've stopped waiting for them to get everything right. They won't. They can't. They missed birthdays, graduations, the day I got married, the day I became a dad. They can't go back and fix it. But they are showing up now. I don't know if I'll ever use the word forgive. It feels too clean, too neat, but I've stopped hating them. That's a start, and for the first time in a long time, I'm not carrying all of this alone.
For more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.